as a young person, I spent some time in the United Church, but as an adult, church wasn't part of my life. But about over 20 years ago, trying not to think of how old I am, my brother-in-law showed up when he found God at my door. So that's how it started. So I'm going to try to do this 5-minute testimony and condense 20 years into that. So then, of course, they invited me to church. So I thought, sure, I'll go. It'd be interesting to know about the Bible from a historical point of view. That was my plan. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to make a good Christian anyways, because I'm not giving up coffee and wine, that's for sure. But little did I know that what God was going to ask me to give up was the way that he was going to actually save me. So he got my attention when my family went through a divorce. That was the worst thing that could happen to me. There was a puddle on the floor. I would pace the house when the kids were gone. When I went to visit their dad, I had such huge feelings of rejection and abandonment. But in that moment, all I had left was God, because I tried hard enough to make it work, and obviously it wasn't. So when I think about my life before the divorce, I think of myself as Martha in the Bible. I still am, and probably always will be, a Martha. I'm an overdoer, an overworrier, an overfixer, and a people pleaser who likes to control others as much as I can. So I feel safe and I feel worthy in my world and my relationships when I'm controlling. But this need for worth distracted me from God and from myself and from others. So like Martha, I also had a lot of self-pity. Why couldn't these people, so it went like this, why couldn't this family, these people, the people that I work with, it was my whole world, see what I was doing, all the work I was doing, so looking for praise from other people. And why weren't they doing what I told them to do? It was clear, and I was right. I was baffled. So then, next, God brought Christian women and Christian programs into my life. I joined different groups to learn about the Bible, and this new thing called the 12-Step Program. And that's my how-to manual. I got a sponsor. I thought, great, she's going to help me put my family back together. This is awesome. So I made her my God instead. And believe me, I tried on my own. I have a psychology degree. In the first year of recovery, I read 42 books. I was going to fix this. God obviously has a sense of humor. I still have to do the work, but it's not enough, the work that I do. I need God to be a part of that. I need that spiritual component. Without that, you know how it goes. A big change happened for me when I went to the Tres Dias retreat, and I learned how to put my burdens at the cross, and that God wanted a relationship with me. So slowly things started to change, and I moved from being a complete Martha more to a Mary. So through the 12-step program, I've learned that I'm addicted to the substance in my body called adrenaline, and that leads to controlling other people. It leads me to being a drama queen, because that's how I get fed, and that's how I don't pay attention to myself and to God. So it was a great distraction to look after other people. And then he put other people in my life, too. That's how he shows up in my life. So, like Mary, I started being willing to surrender to God's wisdom. I actually can sit now, I can pause, I can be quiet, I can pray, and I can actually listen and wait, that was a big one, wait for God to talk. I no longer send cue cards up there, just for his, to help him along, you know? And I especially do this when I'm irritable, discontent, and restless. Those are the three big words. When I know something's going on, I may not know what it is, but I do know in my body that something's going on. And me doing something to fix that is probably not a good idea. So, and I also know that it's God talking to me, because he talks to me in full sentences that I am not capable of generating on my own. But when I do surrender and I do learn to trust his way, it's better than mine, because it brings peace and not the chaos in my life and in my relationships. Because when I do it on my own, I like the control, I tend to control my children's lives. I create that fantasy family. I lose relationships. I got written up at work. The list goes on. And none of that brings peace. So The verse that means the most to me is be still and know I'm God. And why that's so important to me is because it's so simple. And I can repeat that when my brain wants to fix other people. I can manage to say that verse and I know what the answer is. And he's got this, not me. And he doesn't need my help. So in case you're interested, what I did end up giving up with God's help, of course, was I no longer blame or criticize, orchestrate, manipulate, judge, stomp, gossip, use sarcasm, or isolate. And oh yeah, no, not so much rage, bitterness, and anger as well. The adrenaline rushes and the crashes have slowed down. My food hangovers have gotten shorter. I'm no longer afraid to be alone. I'm not afraid of not having enough money. And I'm not afraid not to be a perfect mom, a perfect worker, a perfect sister, a perfect daughter, a perfect wife, and a perfect worker. My sponsor keeps telling me, yeah, you're good. You're not great, though. She keeps me in line. So the examples for me for God's miracles and God's healing in my life has been emotionally. I can actually be polite to my ex. And I'm really genuinely happy when my kids spend time with him. Verbally, I talk less, give less advice when asked, and wait to be asked. And even when I am asked, I try to pray first, because that also goes better. Mentally, I have a quieter mind. I don't overthink when I'm in social environments and think about what I said. Was that right? How did I appear? That's stopped. I understand that love is not romantic, but a choice and an action, like God shows me. I'm learning to let others have their journey. So that's my kids, my boss, and recently my poor husband. And when the Bible started to make sense to me, that's when I really knew something was happening. And I could actually find myself in those stories. So no longer historical information. Spiritually, I'm more peace. I can give grace, not correction. I can be compassionate to others, but also to myself. I have a higher power for my life, more than just my own happiness. And I can allow God to lead, and I can turn to him. And lastly, because I can stand up here and share God's love for myself, even in my fears and my brokenness. Thank you.